Hello again. I'm Henry T. Welcome to the fastest growing podcast in America. Well, let's be humble. The Southwest first, right? Man, I'll tell you, thanks to you and your help and your motivation, say Henry T, great comeback. Keep doing it. Take it to the mountaintop. And back when Tim Baca said, Henry, come here, I want to show you something. This is a podcast. See this button right here? When I press this button, you got to say something because you're all over the world. This mechanism, this show goes all over the world. I said, yeah, sure. He presses the button. My picture comes on the computer. He said, Henry, you're on all over the world right now. Say something. Say hi. And then we goofed around and said hello to everybody all over the world. And then, because I was seeking him out, because I promised some people that I would have a show, but I didn't know the first thing about it. Timmy showed me how to go. And that's developed several months till today, when we have several hundred and many days, over 1,000 people watching the Henry T show, and many shows, one after another, so beautiful. And then I got Jimmy to help me produce the show, and all the stars, all the sports stars of New Mexico have appeared, and many former Lobo stars, Lobo coaches, athletes, common people, whoever's got that great story. But I doubt if any of those great stories can surpass today's story in emotion, in hitting your heart. In fact, before we get started, I better do the same. I'm going to go get me a little box of Kleenex because every time I hear this story, it pumps me up. It inspires me. It motivates me. It tells me the human sacrifice. When somebody wants to do something, they can. And Gabe Martinez has the formula of how to achieve a goal and how to sacrifice and how to motivate his family, how to go through hard times, up and down, and then how to get friends around you, like his college coach, like his high school coach, to pump him up and motivate him and make him believe there's a way. Put your eyes on it, look at it, and above all, his faith. Keep your eyes on God, and he'll take you the rest of the way. Hard work, yes. Sacrifice, pain, broke days, no money in your pocket, maybe no food too. Oh, Gabe's going to tell you his story. And his beautiful wife coming along, inspiring him. Man, I better get my Kleenex now. But I want to introduce you to one of the finest people, one of the finest young people I've ever met. And he's going to inspire you today. And I know he's going to pump me up. I would like you all to meet young Gabe Martinez, the head basketball coach at Espanola High School. Gabe, Henry T here. How are you, buddy?
Good morning, Henry T. It's a pleasure to be here. Honored to be on your show. It seems like it's been a while since we had our last interview, but they're always close and dear to my heart. So I just want to thank you for having me on the show today. Hello to everyone that is watching. I'm excited to be here.
Wow. You know, I'm going to get out of your way. We got a curtain here on the stage, and I feel I should just say, let's open the curtain, introduce you, and begin telling your story about mom and dad early on, what part of town, how they inspired you to be the young man that you are today. let's go there right now. When you first woke up and said, "This is the world," who are these people? They are helping you. They smile. They feed you. Tell us about the parenting that you received early on in your life.
Definitely, definitely. I will get to the parents, but I do want to touch on something that you touched on. I want everyone to know I'm a big man of faith, and I just want to thank God for blessing me and getting me to the point where I'm at today, and we'll talk about that story. But um, Henry T touched on that, and yeah, all glory to God for everything. So I'm just grateful for everything He's done. So I'll start off. Mom and dad, they divorced when I was 5 years old. I grew up on the South Broadway neighborhood off of Avenida Cesar Chavez and Broadway. So kind of the San Jose area. Definitely more of a low income neighborhood, but I wouldn't have traded growing up there for anything. I made some really lifelong friends there. My parents always made sure that there was food on the table. They brought me up right. They taught me about God since a young age. So were there struggles? Were there ups and downs? Yeah, you bet there were. I think everyone in life really goes through those struggles, those ups and downs. And, when we go through our trials and tribulations, I was actually reading in the Bible last night, it talks about how tribulations create perseverance, perseverance creates character, and character creates hope.
Wow.
So kind of having, it's, and don't quote me, that's right out of the good book. So we were in Romans last night doing some reading, and just kind of relates to what we're talking about today. It's crazy how God works in that way. But yeah, so grew up like lower income neighborhood. So it was a true blessing. But like you said, my parents were there. They raised me the right way. They taught me how to be a gentleman. They taught me how to yes, sir, no, ma'am. And, kind of set me up with all the life skills I would need later on in life to be successful.
You know, that's a time where you start learning who you are, you make choices, you know right from wrong. You're on the elementary school campus or junior high, you know the good kids, what they're doing. They're all good kids basically, but you begin to know, hey, I don't want to hang with them because they're getting in trouble, and I want to stay over here because mom and dad said stay over here. You got teachers and coaches influencing you, but that evil atmosphere is out there. How did you dodge it? How did you stay over here and then stay on the right road, so to speak?
Well, I think a lot of it's like you said, starts with parenting and them kind of explaining to you, where you want to be, the examples, the people you look up to. And it's all the same stuff I'm trying to do with my son right now. As we all know, iron sharpens iron. So, put yourself around other people with like-minded interests, goals, and you can do things like that. But, for me personally, I started playing the game of basketball when I was 5 years old. So the game of basketball has always been an outlet for me. And the game of basketball, besides God blessing me with everything, God blessed me with the ability and the talent to play basketball, but I was able to use that to kind of navigate through life and, have some success in high school, go on to get a college scholarship, go on to be successful as a college player. Basketball helped me to meet contacts like the great Ryan Cordova, Coach Cordova, who we're going to be talking with. And also it kind of led me to where, I got my first coaching gig. I was able to coach under Alvin Broussard at Sandia for a couple of years. Then I was able to go up to the collegiate level, be the associate head coach at Northern New Mexico College for 3 or 4 years. And now I'm the head coach at Espanola Valley High School. But like you said, I think basketball was one of those main factors that kept me around other people that wanted to be in sports, were interested in school, wanted to get good grades, and kind of, being involved in sports keeps you out of the negative things that you can, eventually get involved in.
Ryan, you talk so freely about the success after the hard work, after the hard times. How hard did it get for you and your wife coming through the early years? Was money readily available? Were all these luxuries readily available to you? Or was there some sacrifice time for you? Some real personal discipline time?
Oh, definitely not where we're at now. There was definite sacrifice. I will tell you that, my story is a little interesting. In high school, I actually got my wife pregnant my senior year. So I did not actually land up playing basketball my senior year. So as you guys know, when we were talking, it takes 9 months for a baby to cook up in the oven. So when I graduated high school, even though I didn't play my senior year, I still had two scholarship opportunities, one at Western State in Gunnison, Colorado, and the other one was at Trinidad Junior College. And I decided not to go. Spoke with my family about the decision. And to me, it was super, super important for me to be there for the birth of my child. And I wanted to be a parent that was involved. I wanted my wife to know I was going to be there to support her no matter what. So that's kind of where, the story started, as far as you're saying, growing up at a young age. And here's where the sacrifices and learning how to navigate through all of that and eventually, reach some level of success and where I'm at now. So, yeah, so initially after my son was born, was just working a job. And then an opportunity arose. And Coach Cordova was gracious enough to offer me a scholarship to play basketball at Northern New Mexico College. And one of the big things, we had some conversations, and me and him have had some really, really heart-to-heart conversations. He's been a huge mentor of mine. But I still remember one of our first conversations was, Coach, family is super big to me. My son was just born. He's a year old. My wife, the only way I can really do this is if I can bring them with me. And I just remember Coach Cordova comforting me and telling me, you know what? My family is super important to me too. I'm a family first type of person. We're going to make it work. So lo and behold, next thing you know, I'm living off campus. We're renting a house. Me and my wife are there. And it was just a beautiful opportunity there's a picture of me, my wife, and my son. So my family's all living together, and we just were able to start our journey. Was able to go to college there. I had some really, really good success in the classroom as an academic All-American. I had some really good successes on the basketball court. I accomplished and was able to receive some awards in my time there, and some things that are very dear to me. But the sacrifices that you're talking about, my wife had to stay home and take care of my son. We were living on a very, very limited income. We were on food stamps, and we were just trying to make it through any way we could. I knew that the light at the end of the tunnel was eventually going to come. When I finished college, I got my degree, and then we had always made this agreement between both of us. Once I finished college and got my degree, we would kind of flip responsibilities and she'd go back to school. So we did have some trying times. I'll tell you, I think I was the only one on the team that had a baby whose wife and child were living with them. So, trying to balance full-time schoolwork, full-time basketball, traveling across the country and playing games, and still being a father and a husband was super important to me. So definitely had trying times. But now look, I have my degree. My wife has her bachelor's in project management. She is in her first year for her master's degree. So everything, God is good. For those of you out there that may be going through a hard time and, you don't know what's going to come of it, place your faith in God, because you don't understand the doors that he is opening and closing that happens in the dark, things that you don't see. Just have faith, keep, being committed, hard work, and you can reach anything that you set your mind to.
Wow. And I'm sure the guy on the other side, the evil one, tries to get at you and say, quit, go down here, get you a full-time job. And you said no to that evil influence. You kept your mind right here. Although it was hard for you to get through some days, but you always got that blessing. You always got that meal at 5 o'clock, and you prayed like crazy, and there it was. And man, you had everything you literally needed, the basics for you and your wife and your son to get through. I mean, be dramatic to us if you don't mind right now to really sell your point. How hard did it get at times?
I mean, I think that's a multi-leveled question there. Financially, it got hard. There was points and times when you actually just sit back and you tell yourself, now, we take for granted, but like you're saying, the basics, the essentials. I have a roof over my head, I have food on the table, and there are clothes on our backs. And I think a lot of times we take for granted those things, and we don't realize that when you have those things, the basic necessities, you're doing a lot better than people that don't have homes, that are homeless, don't have meals to eat. And times got hard. I mean, financially, it was always tough. I would always have to go after school ended. We would have to move back because I didn't have enough money to continue paying for rent in Espanola, because the scholarship money and the money from different things that I was doing, financial aid, we were getting support, that didn't cover throughout the summer. So I moved back to Albuquerque. We got jobs. We worked during the summer. We tried to save up as much money as we could, working part-time, full-time jobs in the summer so that we could come back the next year and do it all again. And but that's only one level of it. I mean, you're talking about having to manage a marriage and being a father while being a full-time athlete and student. And that definitely brought its challenges. I won't get too personal with any specific stories. Just know that everyone goes through struggles, everyone goes through hard times, and there's always a light at the end of the tunnel, even though you may not see it at the current moment. But I'll tell you, the support I had around me, my wife, my parents, my mom and dad were always there for me to support me, were always huge whenever I needed someone to lift me up, call them, talk to them on the phone. It was just amazing. Coach Cordova was always there. I mean, there was times I'd call Coach Cordova and be like, I need to talk. And, he would go out of his way to meet me. We would meet, and we would have talks, and, things that I'll never forget. I'm forever grateful for. But I will tell you, I think we've all been at those low points, and it's like a roller coaster. Your ups, your downs, your ups, your downs, and just never give up.
Well, you're a great player. Thank God you had the ability to express yourself as an athlete. And even though not playing your senior year of high school, you had enough ability that impressed the coaches around you at the small schools, Gunnison, Northern New Mexico, and others. But wow, playing basketball takes energy. And you're using and expending your energy on school and making a living and putting meals on the table for your family, and whatever problems or challenges you have literally at home as a father and a husband, you're doing a lot at such a young age. But you got to excel on the basketball court at Northern New Mexico for Coach Ryan Cordova. And you did that. And you did that well. Tell us about those great, exciting days as an athlete at Northern.
Yeah, definitely. And first of all, I had really good coaches, really good mentors that kind of talked to me. I remember, and Coach Cordova will probably tell you this story. I think it was after my freshman or sophomore year, I was in the gym shooting. This is a pretty cool story, and I was doing spot shooting, and I was catching and shooting, and I was making my shots. And Coach Cordova walked in the gym, and we were talking, and he said, "Okay, let's see how many you can make in a row." And I went up there and I shot. First spot, I probably made 7 for 10. Next spot, 8 for 10. Next spot, 7 for 10. Maybe one spot, I had 9 for 10. And I went through 8, 7, 8, and I had thought I had done a pretty good job, 7 for 10, 8 for 10. And Coach Cordova was like, that's pretty good. And I was like, what do you mean pretty good? I thought I was doing really good. He's like, you're a good shooter, but you're not a great shooter. And it ignited a fire under me. And I know as a coach, especially now that I've transitioned and I'm in my 7th year of coaching, you do things like that to kind of, light that fire under players. Well, I will tell you that from that point on, I dedicated myself in the gym. I put in many, many hours, many, many, many hours in the gym. Late nights, early mornings, I gave everything I had to the game of basketball because I knew I was only going to have it. You only have one opportunity in life, make the best of it. And, push come to shove, my senior year, had a very, very successful year, not only as a team, but individually. I received quite a few awards that year that I am forever grateful for. So just thankful for the things I was able to accomplish that year. There's a picture of me. That was in our conference semifinal there. So yeah, I'm so grateful for God for the things that I was able to. I have my awards hanging, and there are things that can never be taken away from me. So just thankful for it.
Well, there you are amongst your teammates, and what a happy moment right there. And I'm sure that all of your buddies there could tell a similar story, but all of them are impressed with you, the way you've lived your life, the way you have kept close and made sure you took care of your wife and your little boy too. That's an amazing, beautiful story. And I hope someday that you're pumped up enough to write your book on what you've done to inspire others around you. It's a documentary, it's a movie, it's all those things. But your coach, Ryan Cordova, let's zero in on him. And I hope he calls in soon because he's probably right on cue. What did he literally do for you since day one?
I mean, he brought me in and he basically made me part of his family. I couldn't tell you how many times that coach extended out literally a helping hand when I needed it in more ways than you guys may know. And I'm just forever grateful for the opportunities that he gave me to play the game of basketball, to coach the game of basketball. He believed in me. I mean, he believed in me. I mean, believed in me. I mean, he would bring me into his office and he would tell me all the belief he had in me. And just knowing that he had that belief and faith in me and the things I could do on the basketball court, it only took my confidence and went skyrocketed up. So, I mean, I think coach can even tell you, we have had some great, great, great times together, experiences. And listen, we've went through our ups and downs here too, but I'll tell you that, playing for Coach Cordova was one of the greatest experiences of my life. And I'm just forever grateful for the things that he's done for me on and off the court.
And so much was he impressed with you, he made you his assistant coach. Now,
Yes,
that's
sir.
a compliment and a half. Tell us that story.
Yes, so it's actually a pretty cool story. Coach Cordova had saw. I think we were playing. It was when I was coaching at Sandia. We were playing Santa Fe High, and we had kind of got to talking after the game. I noticed. I think it was before the game or during the game. I noticed that Noah was playing, and this probably tells you how many years ago it is. Noah's already taken off, and I think he's in college, and he's living the big dog life out there in New Mexico State. So I saw him. Noah was still playing. I think Noah was still a young buck at that point. He may have been a freshman or a sophomore. He was really young at that point. And we started talking after the game. And, he said, man, it's good to see that you're coaching. I said, man, I love coaching. It's a passion of mine. It's something I want to do. And lo and behold, next thing the position opened up at Northern and Coach Cordova was gracious enough to give me an opportunity, and I went in there, and kind of the same dedication that I gave to the game of basketball as a player is the same level of dedication that I give the game of basketball as a coach, because I know that after having a good mentor like Coach Cordova, I want to be that same type of mentor to the kids that I'm coaching. I want to show them the right ways, the wrong ways. I want to put, the right amount of responsibility on them. I want to teach them the right ways. And another thing is teaching them that, there's life out there. And he taught me life lessons and little tiny things here and there that were big.
Well, let's bring Coach Ryan Cordova on right now. Respect this guy. I love him like a brother. Great coach, great mentor to you, obviously, and one of your closest friends forever. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to Coach Ryan Cordova, the head coach at Northern New Mexico College. Ryan, come on up, brother. How are you?
Henry, it's great to see you again, man. I don't know what this Zoom life has done, but man, you look 10 years younger. What in the world is going on?
Man, I bought me a special Zoom machine.
Awesome. It's great to be on your show and to visit with you and see you again and visit with Gabe. Of course, we talk quite a bit as it is, but man, you couldn't have picked a better story to share about Gabriel and his family and his story, and I'm sure I'm happy to be a part of it.
What do you think of his story from the very beginning when you found out about who this young man was and the struggles, the sacrifices, the early marriage? He's got a young girlfriend who's pregnant. He can't play his senior year.
Yeah.
And you come along and
I threw a big wrench in it.
Huh?
I threw a big wrench in it, Henry. I made him make some choices.
Literally, what happened?
Well, I'll tell you, I have to clear something up first. Now, Gabriel made it sound like I was a tough, challenging guy when I told him he was a good shooter, not a great shooter. He didn't tell you the end part of that. Of course, I told him he was a good shooter. He was making 7 for 10, 8 for 10. I said, of course, with a defense on you, you take that, with no defense, you're shooting 70, 80%. When you put a defense on you, you're shooting 35, 40%. Okay. So I told him he was a good shooter and I challenged him. He worked all summer on his shot. By the next year, he walks in the gym first day and he goes, "Coach, come in the gym, come rebound for me." I said, what are you going to show me? He says, "Coach, I need to show you something." So we go out there and he starts shooting, right? And he starts shooting the same shots he shot before. And he goes 10 for 10. Then he goes 9 for 10. Then he goes 10 for 10. Then he goes 9 for 10. Then he goes 10 for 10. And I go, "Well, Gabriel, looks like you're a great shooter now." And so he developed, and I'll tell you that the end part of that is he ended up being an all-conference player, the conference player of the year. He ended up being an All-American. But had I not challenged him, he would have thought he was a good shooter. And he was a good shooter, but he wasn't a great shooter at that point. And he became a great shooter. And that's the time and the dedication that Gabriel puts into his game. And so that takes me – so I'm not that bad a guy because it turned out pretty good for him. But going back to his story, you know what? Those are challenges that everybody faces, and a lot of people face, especially in the state of New Mexico, with the demographics that we have here in the state of New Mexico. We have a lot of really talented young people that, things do happen. They become parents at a very young age, and we have to be able to have outlets for them to be able to be successful after that. And we can't just say, "Oh, well, there's another, that's another sad story." No, it doesn't have to be. It can be a very successful story. So when Gabriel moved with his family up to Espanola, my wife and my kids, we welcomed them into our home. Our kids became very good friends. Matter of fact, his wife babysat my kids after school for a little extra income. And so we made it work. And Gabriel, he applied for many scholarships academically outside of basketball to be able to help him financially throughout it. So, the toughest part for Gabriel was, and this is the thing that I think we're all afraid of, Henry, is change. And Gabriel had to make a choice of, did he want to stay where he was at, where it was comfortable? His house is down the road, his job he could walk to. I mean, or does he want to maybe think 10 years ahead and say, okay, where am I going to be in 10 years? And so he decided to make that choice. And I'm sure his dad is like he talked to you about being a man of faith, but I'm sure that played a huge part of it. And it turned out to be a great success story.
Wow. His personal character, your friendship with him, uh, the believer he is, the dad that he is, the husband that he is.
Yeah.
Man, his story convinces all of us that if you make the right choices, if you follow the leadership of Coach Ryan Cordova and others like you, you're going to stay on this road. And no matter how tough the challenges get, if you stay close to this leadership, you're going to push your way through those challenges. Is that accurate?
You know, Henry, I think you're really accurate in that. Although it's not just me. There's a lot of coaches out there that really genuinely, truly care about the well-being of their players, and they're there to be mentors. They're not there for a paycheck, and they're not there for their own glory. They're there to try and build something. So just like if an entrepreneur was building their own company, I mean, all of us have had good bosses and bad bosses. And the bad bosses, well, you still learn some things from bad bosses, but from the good bosses, you really those are relationships that you have for many, many years to come, and they really help shape and mold you. And just like the negative things that happen in the state of New Mexico through education, through collegiate sports, all the not so great stories, there's many, many more great stories. And so I'm glad you really emphasize these great stories to show kids that no matter what hurdles you face in life, they're just obstacles. There's ways around them. And so I think it's great. And there's a lot of other coaches that really teach those things. And a lot of them are good friends of mine that are at the high school level here in the state of New Mexico.
Gabe, what do you think of this man, Ryan Cordova?
You better lie, Gabe.
Well, I will tell you that he has not only been a mentor but a role model to me. Like I said, you know, there's conversations, private conversations that me and him have had many, many, many of times. And, you know, the thing that I really appreciate most from him is he always told me the truth. He always used to tell me this: I shoot straight bullets. He says, black and white, there is no gray area with me. So he would always make sure to tell me things that he knew would help me to be successful, no matter if it was what I wanted to hear or if it was something I didn't want to hear. And I'm so grateful. And I think, you know, I said this, but I without him, and I know God and my family, my parents, but Coach Cordova really allowed me to use the game of basketball to become successful in the classroom. He allowed me to use the game of basketball to become a coach. He's given me opportunities. He's given me references. He is a true example of what a head coach should look like. And I'm trying to mirror the things and the examples that he taught me with my boys as well. So, you know, Coach, I think I've expressed this to you multiple times, but I'm forever grateful, Coach. Thank you for everything.
How often do you tell Gabe's story, Coach Cordova?
Oh, I share it. I share it at my basketball camps in the summertime. I share it with my new recruits. I invite Gabe and his team into the locker room prior to games, and I love sharing it. I always tell them, you know, make sure that you be honest with them, because you know, it's a difficult road, and it doesn't matter where you're at. If you're a Division I athlete, if you're a Division II athlete, an NAI athlete, college is tough, and you run into a lot of hurdles. And you know, I'm really proud of where Gabriel has taken his life, him and his wife, and I can't tell you how much. I mean, like, if I told you all the things that would come of this, you probably wouldn't believe me. I'm not even kidding you. You probably wouldn't believe me. But you know, like he said, help prepare him for life. And that's one of the things we teach, is that we're going to use basketball as a tool to help prepare you for the rest of your life. And basketball, during the course of a game of basketball, you have a lot of highs and you have some lows and you have some in-betweens. And much like life, you're going to have a lot of highs and you're going to have sometimes some really low lows. And you got to be able to dig out of those lows, and you got to be consistent. So basketball kind of emulates the life and as it is. And so we use basketball as a tool to prepare us for the rest of our lives. And I think, you know, a lot of our kids get it. Some kids don't, and that's okay. Eventually, as they get older, they'll start to understand it, and maybe they'll have a different mentor that helps shape them. But this is a great story. I mean, Henry, I'm telling you, if I'd have told you that Gabriel, I was going to recruit this kid, and his kids would become friends of mine, or my kids, and our wives would be friends, and and they would, we would, I mean, his wife and my wife became very good friends, and my wife tried to help mentor his wife. And even when they got to the college, his wife even got a job at the college because my wife was in a position to hire, and and so she even started working at the college while he was assisting me. So I mean, for him to play for me, his family to, I mean, for us to be so close, and
Wow.
then get this one, then here we fast forward 10 years, and Gabriel ends up, my mother passed away a couple of years ago. Gabriel ends up buying my mom's house. And who's the realtor on the deal? My wife. And so I'm telling you, so many different things have come across, but it's because we've always wanted to help them. And we've always wanted to, to do what we could. And that's what you do for family. And that's what we become at Northern is we become a family.
Wow. You talked about a recruiting mechanism. This story in itself will stop athletes in their tracks. Gee, that could happen to me. They might be going through similar hard times, but they know your leadership is real. And they look at Gabe and they look at a real story from the beginning to end. And and without getting real personal, you don't have to tell us the true details, but I know of times when Gabe had tears in his eyes. There were challenges he was going through, and he came and had private moments with you,
Oh,
and
yeah.
together you guys worked it out. You've seen those tough moments in Gabe. If you don't want to get real detailed, what literally did you see happen?
Well, I saw a transformation, and transformation doesn't happen overnight. I mean, you can be halfway in and halfway out. And when Gabriel decided to kind of just give it all up and just let God take over and kind of lead him. I mean, he faced some struggles, and being a young person, he ended up breaking his ankle like in the middle of his junior year. So, I think it was his junior year that we did that, and there were some really difficult times. And there's times that you're like, man, I don't know if I can sit out basketball this long. Should I quit college and go get a job? I mean, just so many different things, and it always led back to his faith and the faith that his parents and his grandparents and they influenced him quite a bit. And he would always turn back to that. I mean, I'm telling you, Henry, when I'm telling you that he did a lot of special stuff for us, he did. I mean, he even helped me start a FCA, a Fellowship of Christian Athletes, at the college, and we would meet and we would share and we would read, and then he became part of Student Senate. He became our Student Senate president. I mean, so there's so many different things that he was able to focus on, and that's what he did. Is he changed his focus from, okay, if I'm going to be out of basketball for this period of time, let me focus in these areas. And that's what he did. And I commend him for it because none of those times were easy.
Wow. Now, fast forwarding a little bit, you go down to the high school
Yeah.
in Espanola and you hear that whistle blowing, and then you look at the guy behind the whistle. That's your man.
Yeah.
He's now the head coach of the Sun Devils of Espanola High School.
Yep.
Wow.
That's cool. And not only that, in his first year there at the state tournament, they played really well. And unfortunately that night, some of his better shooters had it a little off night. But you know what? In their first year, and it's hard to just take over a program in 1 year and really make it yours. So you at least need 2 or 3 years to really find the ones that are bought in. I'll tell you, he has one of the best players in the state, a couple of the best players in the state this year. And so if they end up playing here in a few weeks, you better watch out because Espanola is going to be very tough to handle.
Wow.
Very, very tough to handle.
And now he's got the keys to that huge gym. And well, there's the blue trophy. That's
there you go.
That's the goal of every high school coach. And but that gym that he plays in, that he orchestrates now, what, 8,000 fans fit in there?
Yep.
My goodness. When you look back and see that big picture now, and there's your man on the sideline at that big gym, with that fired up team, what goes through your heart? What goes through your mind, Ryan?
Well, I'll tell you that Espanola is not a very easy place to coach at. And you can ask Lenny Roybal, you can ask Rich Martinez, you can ask any of those, even the women's coaches that have been there. It's not an easy place to be, but I know when I gave Gabriel a reference for that job, I said, this may be your answer to a long time. And the one thing that he really does is he genuinely cares about his kids. And people can rest assured that those kids are going to get their best shot. And Gabriel will give people chances, and Gabriel will help teach them, and he's always going to be going to work to do his job. He's a good teacher. He taught at the college a couple classes. He's already taught at the high school level and so elementary level even, and so for him to be able to walk in that gym and know that it's all his. I remember the feeling when I was at Gallup, man. I had that big old gym, and it's an exciting time and it's an exciting experience. And as the people pack in, people always criticize you. You never have 100% of positive, fans. But at the same time, just the humility, that's the other thing we learn, is when we win, we're humble about it, right? And when we lose, we're graceful about it. And so not gloating and telling people how you're going to beat them, those kind of, no, you let your team play. And at the end of the day, you shake their hands and you thank them for a great game and a great opportunity. And be humble about it. And so those are things that I think Gabriel takes into that job. Don't get me wrong. There is a ton of confidence there, and you need confidence. You need confidence to be able to instill in your players. But at the same time, humility is something that a lot of coaches don't teach, and you don't see it a lot on ESPN, and you don't see it in the professional sports. And so when you're able to do that, you're able to easily let the last game go and start preparing for the next game. And I think that's the exciting part for Espanola basketball and the future of Espanola basketball is the fact that it doesn't matter what's happened in the past. He knows he's got a great team. He's got a great facility and a great administration supporting him. And man, I mean, they've got a new AD over there, Ira Harge, and Ira, you had him on here not too long ago. And he'll definitely help Gabe. Ira's been around for a long time. He'll become a good mentor for Gabe. But Gabriel he's created his own path, and
Wow.
the future is bright at Espanola High School. I tell you what.
Gabe, you're sitting back listening to Coach tell your story. It's it's a real story. It's an inspirational story to thousands of people today. Gabe, when you hear Coach describe your story, what's happening then?
Honestly, a lot of reflection. I think back to the beginning. I think the support that I think we talked about it earlier, the support my parents gave me early on, the way they guided me, raised me, taught me the right way. Then meeting my wife, developing that relationship with her. It's just so amazing.
And
My
a
wife,
couple
my son,
moments.
my family, they have been there for me through thick and thin. And then
We'll put up your photograph with your wife and son. Describe your wife for us, Gabe.
my wife is, she keeps me on my toes. I love my wife very much. We have been together. She has seen me at my lowest lows, and she has seen me at my highest highs. And she has always been loyal.
Wow.
She's been gracious for me. She's always wants the best for me. My son has been a true inspiration for me. He motivates me, and I couldn't ask for anything better. My parents are the same way. I have a very close relationship with my father and my mother. They always want the best for me, and I'm so grateful to have my wife, my son, my parents in my life. And then, then I transition in, and then I get the privilege of, being mentored and having a role model like Coach Cordova. So God kind of navigates our roads. And like I told you earlier, there's all these doors being opened and closed that we don't even know that are happening behind the scenes. God orchestrates things, and that's where you have to leave your trust up to him. And then you get to the place where you are now. I mean, I'm just so grateful for everything I've been able to accomplish. And I have a lot of goals that I set for myself, and I'm willing to work hard to achieve those goals. And I'm excited to be at Espanola. I love the community. I love the fan base. I've known a lot of these people in the community since my playing days. I've made great relationships with a lot of people. The support is amazing. The support is amazing. I can't tell you that enough. And you know, the accomplishments we had last year. You know, we're district champs. We had 18 win season. We had a really good first season, and I'm super super excited for what the future has to hold. I'm excited to be part of Espanola basketball for you know, many years to come, and build something special there. And I just want to be able to give back, like I said, to my players the way my coaches have given back to me. Coach Cordova talks about teaching life principles through the game of basketball, and a lot of the things that we all learn, and this doesn't even have to necessarily relate to basketball. Things that we learn from mentors or role models in our lives are always things that we want to pass down to the next generation. So whether it be your commitment in the classroom, you know, handling adversity, what it takes to be successful, you know, your faith. There's so many things that coaches can do for kids outside of the basketball court that play a huge impact. The fans see the impact you have on kids on the court because they go and watch the games, they see if you're successful, but there's so many things that coaches do for kids outside of the basketball court that those kids are going to remember for the rest of their lives. You can change someone's life by a piece of advice you give, by something as simple as driving over to a player's house and talking to them when they're in a bad times, being there for support, giving references, giving opportunities. There's so many things that happen outside, and I think all coaches out there can relate to this. And that is something that brings me pride in being a coach. I know what I can teach as far as the game of basketball. Something I've been playing since I was 5 years old. I feel like people are like, hey, I have my degree in business. Yeah, but I went to school for business for 4 years and got my bachelor's. I went 2 more years and got my master's. I've been studying and learning the game of basketball for the past 32 years. So, I mean, it's something that we know. But to me, the impact that we can have on students and on players moving forward in their lives and helping them build a foundation for them to be successful moving forward is something that I'm very, very passionate about. And I think mentors like Coach Cordova instilled those principles in me, helped me build a solid foundation. And I want to do those same things to the next generation, and then the next generation, and the next generation.
Well, you're there in an environment that mandates excitement, trophies, championships. The people of Espanola aren't satisfied with mediocrity. And we can put up the pic, I'm sure, of the support. When you play your games in the state tournament, the whole area of northern New Mexico fills the seats at the pit. And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to show you a photograph of the support that the high school kids of Espanola get. And Jimmy will put that up for us. The players on the floor, the big crowd behind you. Wow, look at that support, Gabe. How about that?
It's I'll tell you what, the fan support is amazing. I still remember a few of our games this past season. We're playing here at home. The support, the fans going crazy. I remember the few times we played Taos and Powaka, the gym was packed, and just having the support of the fans and hearing that gym rumble, it's something special. And it's something I'm always telling my boys, don't take this for granted right now. This is something you're going to remember for the rest of your lives. I said, even in college, the only place you're going to get a better atmosphere than what you have right now is if you go play some major Division I basketball somewhere. Most small colleges do not get that type of environment to play in front of. So I'm telling them to take advantage of it. And yes, there's a lot of pressures that come with the job. But you know what? I've always been a firm believer in this. If you do the very best that you can and you don't cut corners, you will have no regrets. You have to place your faith in God give everything you have, and you won't have no regrets because you're doing everything in your power to be successful and to make your team successful. And like you guys touched on, we do have a new administration. So I do have a new AD, Mr. Harge, Mr. Ira Harge, and we've started developing a good relationship. And I'm just excited, you know, for the future of Espanola Valley basketball. Our new administration, like I said, me and Mr. Harge, you know, we talk often, and you know, we're building a good relationship as well. And I'm excited to continue to build that relationship. And you know, I'm excited for all of it.
Gabe, will you let Henry T go in that 8,000 seat arena of yours and broadcast the game someday?
It would be my pleasure. It would be my pleasure. Like I told Henry T this morning, he is the man, he is the myth, and he is the legend.
You're mate.
I love it.
Cordova, when you see that photograph, we'll put it up again, with the thousands of Espanola fans, and many of them are your fans, Coach Cordova. What comes to mind about the support, the love of the game of basketball in your town, Coach Cordova?
You know what it makes me remember is I used to coach at Gallup, and when I was at Gallup, we I think it was in 2007, we took Gallup to the pit for the first time in like 25 years. And the game before mine, I was playing Hobbs that night, and the game before mine was Espanola and St. Pius. And so the cool thing about it was all the Espanola fans were there, and then you get Gallup fans, which come out in huge numbers as well. And that place was packed. I remember Will Weber wrote an article about it. I remember Ken Sickinger was writing for the Journal at the time, and he wrote an article about it. And James Yodis at the Albert and the Rio Rancho, he covers the West Side, but James wrote an article about it. It was really cool. The neat part about it is I knew just about everybody because I knew all the Gallup fans and I knew all the Espanola fans. So it was cool. It was great. And then we almost ended up upsetting Hobbs just because all my fans stuck around. And so that reminds me of that. And then don't forget, I was as an assistant at Espanola about 2008-9 when they're playing in the semifinals both years. And so that was a great experience to see all those fans. And, getting to see Gabe get to do it. We've played the Lobos with that many fans when we go in and play the Lobos. So, those are all great experiences. And those are experiences that as a coach, you never forget. Even as a player, you never forget.
Wow.
And to be able to do that and share that with your kids and my wife was always right behind me with my kids. And I can't wait to be that dad sitting in the stands, just watching my kids do it.
Well, Coach Cordova, this is one of the most compelling stories that I have ever been a part of. When I have a down moment or I begin to feel sorry for myself, I think of the tough life that Gabe has been through, and his wife and his little boy, and they've come along the way, and the people have helped me through struggles like you have helped Gabe. I told Gabe, write a book. Let's do a documentary and share this story with the world. And I, from a distance, can only say bravo, Ryan Cordova, for coming to the aid of your friend, Gabe Martinez, and the applause going back and forth. Man, the definition of teammate is right here in front of us today. The definition of a love story is here today as well. Give me one final sentence before we say bye to you.
Well, for me, I'm going to give you one quick one. Is that you can expect this. I didn't give Gabriel anything I haven't given anybody else that has played for me, because we give them all that same attention and advice, and that's what we do. And Gabriel will do that with his players, and he does that with his players, and he's done it with our players. And so, if we can continue to share that story with people, it gives you hope and it gives them drive.
Wow.
What you give.
And let's give us your faith story, because he alluded to your leadership because you had such strong faith, Ryan.
I do. I love it. And sharing that faith and that message, I think, you got to put it in God's hands. You got to put it in God's hands and trust the Lord, right? I woke up yesterday morning, told my wife, man, it was my mother's birthday yesterday. And so I woke up to her telling me, trust the Lord. And we have to be reminded of that, though. There's so many things in this world that drift us away from our faith or our beliefs or whatever. And I'm fortunate enough to have a family, wife, and kids that really support me in that and help me re-engage in my faith and church. And it's just something that if we, the Bible, is telling us do the right thing. And all too often, and I'm not perfect. I've chosen not to do the right thing at times in my life, but at the same time, God is a forgiving God, and He is a person that he's a God that loves us all. And so, being able to share that talk and be able to talk to your players about that, and God doesn't judge, and it doesn't matter what kind of family you came from or what color you are or it doesn't matter. It doesn't judge. And so, as long as you just keep your faith, that's my one message is trust the Lord.
Hey, 1 minute left in the game, and you're behind by one, as you recall, and you needed a shot to go down. Would
Yep.
you rely on Gabe for that shot?
Absolutely. I'd run a high ball screen for him, let him decide whether he wanted to pick and roll and give it up or shoot the little 15-footer. I called him the 15-foot assassin from the first time I got to coach him as a freshman. I would refer to him as the 15-foot assassin, but he became a great shooter. So that ball is definitely going to be in Gabe's hands. It was in his hands for many, many games for us. And I remember in a couple games, he'd let that ball go and he'd go cash money, and that shot would just drop. So I love it, and absolutely. And you know what? As you pass the baton to coaches and they pass to their coaches, that they're going to give you your best shot, and you just leave it, like he said, you leave it to the Lord to decide what the outcome is going to be.
Coach Cordova, I love you like a brother. Thank you so much
man.
for being on the show today.
Love you too, Henry. Love you too.
Hey,
Gabriel.
and Gabe, between you and me, one-on-one at Northern Arizona College, one ball, two guys, you and Coach Cordova are there. You're about ready to turn out the lights, and then Coach challenges you to one-on-one to 10 shots. Who wins?
I think Henry T wins. I like I said, I don't mess with the legends.
Can we play horse? If we're playing horse, I can get him with some trick shots. That's about it. I can't keep Henry. I'm almost 50 years old. I can't keep up with him.
You look 20. Well, Northern New Mexico College is a beautiful place, ladies and gentlemen. We invite you to go out there and visit. And if you're a talented athlete, call Coach Cordova today.
Absolutely.
At Northern New Mexico College. Give us a number, Coach.
Dude, you can reach us. I'm working from home these days. You can reach me directly to my cell phone. It's 505-692-0799. And you can look on our website at nnmceagles.com for any other emails or phone numbers or anything. But 692-0799, if you text or call me, I'll take a look at your athletes, whether you're a high school coach or a high school player. Send me some information. I'd love to see tape. And these days of Zoom, we'll get on a Zoom meeting and we'll check it out.
Gabe, what do you say in our final minute?
Once of all, I want to go full circle and just want to give all glory to God. I've been reading in the good word, been reading the Bible a lot lately, and the Apostle Paul has been a great influence for me. The Apostle Paul in the New Testament, after Jesus had died and ascended into heaven, he went around spreading the word of God, spreading the gospel. And I'll tell you that the Apostle Paul was faced with many adversaries who wanted to kill him. He was even stoned. They thought he was dead. They left him at the edge of the city. Somehow he survived. And he was just bold enough to be strong in his faith and never to waver in his faith. So for those of you guys out there that are going through trials or tribulations, and if you are a person of faith, or if you're not, I'd like to leave you guys with Romans 5 again. I think it kind of ties into the conversation we're having here today about trying to make something out of a struggle, or when you're going through tribulations. And just so you guys know, basically, Romans 5 says, and not only that, but give glory in tribulations, knowing that going through tribulation produces perseverance, and perseverance produces character, and character produces hope. So if you're going through a hard time, just know that be strong, persevere through it, and it's going to help you to build your character, and from character to hope. And if anything, I wish the best for everyone out there.
Thank you to all of you. And I'd like to put up some sponsors here. We'll do this story again, ladies and gentlemen, but thank you to our sponsors and Pierre Amistoy, Amistoy Drywall. And if you want your home rebuilt, they'll do that. The originators of the drywall in New Mexico. Richie Tabbitt out there at Rax Lumber Company. Chuck Jackson, Action Jackson Compaction. Ben Lucero, Indigo Mortgage. God bless all of you for coming through for Henry T. and all of you so you can hear these compelling, exciting stories every day right here on GovTV, on ProView Network, on Comcast 26, every Monday right here at 11 a.m., every Wednesday at 11:30. Guys, thank you. Love you both like brothers. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Alden at ProView. Way to go, Alden. You're the man. Jimmy Tran, our producer. Wow, what a show. And we'll talk to you again next Monday when we have Ira Harge Sr. back on the set. Take care. Have a great day. I'm Henry T. You take care of yourself. See ya. Thank you, Gabe. Thanks, Jimmy.